Okay, teachers, hello. Welcome back to another segment of Classroom Management by Design for the Primary Teacher. I am Lauren Zwiegen. I am the founder of LessonPlanToolbox.com, where we help primary teachers master classroom management easily, consistently, and most importantly, effectively each and every day of the year. That is what we do. That is who we are. Inside our membership community, teachers get a very specific guidance from us. These segments that you're seeing are just our fun blog posts, things that are of interest to teachers that we're seeing on social media, and are just kind of on our heart to kind of help you make your year easier. But if you are looking for more direct classroom management support, check out our membership, and we're actually in 2025 going to be looking into creating this into an app just so it is far more affordable and we can reach more and more teachers. So look for that to be coming. And if you have any ideas of things that you would want included in the app beyond student behavior and classroom management techniques, let me know while we're in the app creation process, and we can see if we can get it done and included and just have like a one place to go and seek support. How great would that be? So let's get started with this week's segment. I hope you can tell how much fun I have been having with this holiday series that we started doing. And this was not intentional at all. It's just kind of stuff that has popped up over and over again. I'm like, well, these just seem like easy fixes to me. And not like, they don't need to be mountains, if you will, right? We don't need to make a mountain out of a molehill. So the topic we're going to cover this week is going back to school after break. It can be such a low point in the year because you're coming off the high of the holidays. There's not too much to look forward to. You know, your next long break is probably not until spring break. You might get like a surprise, calamity day. But, I know in my career, I was dreading going back. And it didn't matter if we only had a 3-day week, we went back on a Wednesday and we only had a 3-day week, or if we went back on a Monday and we had a full 5-day week. I would dread going back. It's like the coziness of the classroom. It's not necessarily there anymore. And just that magic of December is gone. I love teaching in December. I love it. Like my favorite ever. But like I said, in January, it's just not there. So I got this idea, and it actually has kind of started to become a thing. And I don't know how, because I started doing this probably, at this point, 15 years ago. And this was before Pinterest was really taking off, or, the whole world of social media was taking off. And I just was like, what if we do a Happy New Year together? Celebrate our first noon as a class together. We celebrated with our families as we end the year. So how fun would it be to celebrate our first noon of the year together in our classroom? So that's what this week's segment is going to be all about. It's going to be creating a Happy New Year experience for your primary students. Again, if you're not in primary, adjust, tweak this as you see fit. But let's get started. So welcoming back after winter break can be a challenge, right? As students are often full of energy and excitement, or the exact opposite. They're either here or they're here, right? Very rarely are we here. So a Happy New Year celebration is just the perfect way to re-engage your primary students, reset those classroom routines, and introduce goal setting in just a fun and festive way for your students. So in this week's segment, we're going to explore how to plan and organize this Happy New Year with very little stress, while just integrating meaningful activities like using the book Squirrel's New Year's Resolution, so we can get that literacy component in like no problem. Okay, so why celebrate Happy New Year? The concept of Happy New Year, it aligns perfectly with young learners' enthusiasm for holidays, and it provides just a structured, festive way to ease back into learning after vacation, okay? So it's a great way to re-engage your students. A playful celebration helps to ease the transition from the break, going back into school routines, okay? It's going to help you teach goal setting, which we love teaching our students. We know this from this community. Introducing resolutions is encouraging students to reflect and take ownership of their own student learning. This Happy New Year is also going to promote community because we're going to have group activities that foster those classroom connections, okay? And you're probably wondering, this is all great, Lauren, but how do I do this planning and organizing without feeling overwhelmed? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set a simple and manageable timetable. So if you hopefully are seeing this right before break, maybe right as break is beginning, do some pre-break preparation. Excuse me, I'm getting over a little cold and this sneaks up, that little tickle, every once in a while. I know it's going to go away and I feel completely fine. When I talk too much, though, you probably know from the classroom that the little tickle sneaks up. But let's get back on track. So you're going to have a simple timetable, okay? So if you can do this before break, it's great. So before leaving for winter break, you want to gather any materials and create just a loose outline of your Happy New Year schedule. In fact, I'll take a screenshot of mine and include it so you can look at the blog and see what my schedule looked like. The day of execution, the event should last no more than about 1 hour, allowing time for learning activities and a classroom reset afterwards. We want to make sure we're still getting our learning in and we're still reviewing those classroom expectations, especially that first day back to school. But here's an example schedule. For morning warm-up, have a welcome back, share what did you do over vacation. If they want to share, don't force them to share. Tell us something you did over vacation, okay? Next, you could do a read aloud of Squirrel's New Year's resolution. You can find it on YouTube. You can also get a hard copy of the book. It's totally up to you. Another tickle coming up. Sorry about that. Excuse me. The next thing you can do is craft a writing activity. And this is where students create their resolutions, right? So they're working on that goal setting and just this fun format. And I'll tell you how to do this in a simple way in just a second. The next one is my favorite. The fourth step in this whole process is going to be creating that noon countdown. And this is like where the magic happens, right? They get excited because they probably haven't done this for the most part, but you can celebrate with noisemakers. You can celebrate with just a simple little toast, maybe a fruit punch or even water, and you do a little toast, and then maybe a small treat if you're allowed to bring in treats in your classroom. The fifth step in this process is to reflect, right? So share their resolutions and discuss the goals for the year ahead, okay? We want to incorporate Squirrel's New Year's resolution throughout the day, okay? A little bit about the book. Squirrel's New Year's resolution, the author is Pat Miller, and it's just a fun story about Squirrel learning what resolutions are and how to make one. And so it's just perfect for primary, okay? It is an accessible way to introduce the concepts of the goal setting, okay? And to encourage your students, especially those primary students, to think of goals for themselves. You also can have discussion questions, of course, ready to go to help foster that comprehension piece. What are some questions? I'm going to give you some. Look, you don't even have to think of them. I'm going to give you some. Ask your students, after you're done reading, what is a resolution? Why is it important to set goals? What kinds of resolutions can we make in our classroom? What kinds of resolutions can we make at home? Then you're going to have an interactive activity. You can create a resolution tree where you have your students write or draw their resolutions on leaf-shaped cutouts, and then they can add them to the classroom resolution tree. This is a great visual reminder for the rest of the school year what their goals are. You could really make this super simple, and instead of leaves, have them trace their handprints or give them a handprint cutout if they're like super little, and just have them do it on that. If they're kindergarten, draw a picture, right? Instead of writing, we're going to draw. The next thing, the countdown to noon. So you want to create an environment with a countdown to noon. This is the fun part of the day. Play some festive tunes leading up to the countdown. And this might even happen while they are working on their resolution, right? On their leave piece, you can have the music playing and have like a countdown on the board. You can have simple like items like paper towel rolls or small bells for celebratory noises when the clock strikes noon. If you are able to do a balloon drop and you want to go that extra step, go ahead, tape balloons to the ceiling and then release them for like a mini ball drop, right? If you could have like a net above, it's a little bit extra. I never did that, but I did see it online. I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. I probably would skip it, you know, between the noisemakers and if you can get hats or some kind of stuff super cheap after New Year's, as far as party supplies goes, they will be just as happy with that. But if you want to be extra or if you can get a parent in and do that for you, go for it. Some parents would love to do that. I shouldn't say never, but when I did this, I did not have parents. My parents were all working, so it was hard to get parents in the classroom during the school day. The next thing, let's talk about this goal setting craft. I told you I would get back to it. So you can give your students a template or simple craft supplies for them to create their resolution star. Or it could be a goal crown, right? What's their goal going to be? And then they write it on a crown. However you want it to be. If it's a crown, they can wear it during the celebration. Maybe if you go to Burger King and like get the crowns that they have, say, hey, you know, is it possible for me to get 22 of these? Odds are, you tell them you're a teacher, they're going to say yes. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do is you, of course, want to have movement breaks. So this is super fun. Resolution freeze dance. You can do this to any song. You simply play music and have your students freeze when it stops. Call on a student then to share their resolution before resuming the music. It's kind of like, hot potato or whatever, but instead of like getting caught with the potato, they share their resolution, okay? The next thing we want to do is give you just some simple tips to kind of simplify this process. First and foremost, simplify materials. Stick to items you already have or you can get super, super easy, such as construction paper, markers, streamers. Then, if you can, delegate responsibility. So if you have classroom helpers, ask them to prepare materials or help you, assist you with setting it up, okay? You can also maybe see if you have older students who are able to come help you for 20 minutes or so to help you set up, maybe they do your balloon drop for you. You don't want to pull them out of class for too long, but if you have high achieving students who can afford to lose 20 minutes, I guarantee you they would love this little service opportunity to come help you create this environment in your classroom. You can involve students in the preparations as part of their reentry activities, right? So pre-write resolutions to streamline that whole process. So when you give them their crown or their star, whatever they're writing it on, you can guide your students to make this a little bit more easy, or I should say easier for them, to think about resolutions in advance. Give them some prompts such as, one thing I want to learn this year is, or I want to be kinder to, or I want to be kinder by, or I want to help my family by, I want to help my classroom by. What's great is you can take this for an easy ELA grade. You can tie it into the story. You can use it for a handwriting grade. You can use it as grammar. Do they have a capital letter? Does it make sense? Do they have all the words? Spelling, if it's up on the board, tell them spelling counts for this part of the sentence, whatever it is. Keep it simple, but yet, again, you're still getting that learning in. You're still covering that curriculum. this, I think this is the last part of it, but it's the wrap up, right? So you want to conclude your Happy New Year with, of course, a reflection discussion with your students about what they enjoyed, what they're looking forward to in the new year, okay? So as a group, decide on 1 or 2 resolutions for a class, such as keeping our classroom tidy or being kind towards one another. But come up with 1 or 2 resolutions you're going to have as a class. Maybe you as the teacher write them, put them in like a secret box or a secret like drawer in your classroom, and then once a week, let's check in. Let's see what our resolutions are. Let's see how we're doing, okay? Another super fun thing you can do is a reflection activity, depending on how much time you have, or you could even do this for like bell work the next day, is have your students write letter to their future selves. They simply could write or draw, depending on their age, their goals, seal them in an envelope, and then revisit it at the end of the school year. Super fun. And again, if you don't have time this day, you could have that be bell work for the next day, okay? A Happy New Year celebration is just a joyful way to re-engage your students, teach that goal setting, teach those resolutions, and reset your classroom routines after winter break. With very simple planning and creative activities like Squirrel's New Year's resolution, you can start the year on just that positive, organized note. So make January one to remember. You just are winding down a December to remember. Keep that momentum going in January. And we're going to be here. We're going to bring it to you to kind of boost that engagement and help you to just re-energize your students while, of course, focusing on that student behavior. But again, these are just tips and tricks to kind of help with engagement. You will get more direct, specific guidance as far as scenarios in your classroom if you're inside our membership. Those are a little bit more serious in tone when I record those. So these are kind of fun, uplifting. I hope you can tell I'm just loving doing these week after week. And then inside our community, they see a little bit more serious side of me. I love it just as much because I'm offering more support, but I just want you to know you do get very much more specific guidance inside the community. So be on the lookout for the app coming out soon. I don't want to give you an exact date yet because we're still kind of in development phase and finding teachers to kind of pick their brains, see what we need to add, see how we can support you. If you have any ideas, feel free to reach out to me while we're still in this phase of getting the parts and pieces in place. I think now is the time to execute all this rather than kind of having to go back and fix things. So thank you again for being here. Until next week, remember to teach, relax, repeat.